Tonight, we're doing something a little different. We're not just explaining a topic. We're opening up the case files on some of the most audacious crimes against science you've ever heard. And we're going to be using Martin Gardner's classic book as our detective's manual to hunt down these intellectual imposters.
I mean, have you ever heard an idea so out there, so disconnected from reality, that it practically leaves fingerprints? These aren't just simple mistakes we're talking about. Oh no, these are capers. These are heists of logic, pulled off by some of history's most fascinating characters. So let's start by profiling our main person of interest. So before we dive into the actual crimes, we need a profile of who we're looking for. Martin Gardner gives us a great definition of a crank. Now, this isn't just someone with a new idea. Science is built on new ideas. No, a crank is someone who stubbornly, and I mean stubbornly, plugs their ears and ignores all the evidence, all the facts that prove them wrong. This is the kind of pseudoscientist we're investigating tonight.
Okay, let's open our first case file. This one takes us deep, and I mean literally deep, right into the Earth's core. We're about to look at some truly outlandish theories about the very ground beneath our feet.
All right, meet our first two suspects. On the left, you've got Captain John Sims. This guy was a war hero who got completely obsessed with the idea that the Earth is basically a Russian nesting doll. 5 spheres, one inside the other, with these giant holes at the North and South poles. And on the right, Cyrus Reed Teed, a cult leader who went even further. He claimed we're all living on the inside of a hollow Earth, and the entire universe, the sun, the stars, everything, is right there in the middle. Now, to prove their theory, Teed's followers, the Caratians, built this wild contraption called a rectilineator, basically a fancy set of T-squares to project a perfectly straight line. They set it up on a Florida beach, totally convinced it would show the Earth curving upward. But you can guess what happened. After 4 miles, their perfectly straight line went right into the ocean, proving, that the Earth curves down like a normal sphere. So their conclusion? The instrument must have sagged. They saw clear, undeniable proof they were wrong, and somehow twisted it into being right. And this, right here, this is a classic move. When the evidence just isn't on your side, you bury your audience in nonsense jargon. I mean, just read this quote from Teed. It's a masterclass in sounding super smart while saying absolutely nothing at all. It's not supposed to be understood. It's designed to make you feel too dumb to argue back.
So from the cosmos, we're now turning to the human body. And our next case file, well, this is where things get serious. We're talking medical malpractice, where the stakes and the potential for real harm are so much higher.
Our next suspect is Dr. William Horatio Bates. And what makes him so dangerous is that he was a credentialed ophthalmologist. He had the degree, and he claimed that glasses are totally useless, and that every single vision problem, from just being a little nearsighted all the way to cataracts, is caused by one simple thing: a wrong thought or mental stress.
For over a century, science has known that the tiny little lens inside your eye is what flexes to focus. It's a fact. But as you can see here, Bates just threw that all out. He claimed it was the muscles on the outside of the eyeball that squeezed it into shape. He called glasses eye crutches and said they actually make your vision worse, telling everyone to just throw them away, completely ignoring all the evidence to the contrary.
So, what was his cure for this so-called mental strain? You're not going to believe this. A bunch of really bizarre exercises. There was palming, where you just cover your eyes for hours trying to see perfect blackness. Then the swing, where you sway back and forth to make things look like they're moving. And my personal favorite, nose writing. You literally trace letters in the air with the tip of your nose. Of course, none of this can actually change the physical shape of your eye's lens. And if you had any doubt about how dangerous this all was, just look at this quote. Bates actually claimed his method was so powerful that even if you had, say, a splinter in your eye, you wouldn't feel any pain or have any redness as long as you practiced his techniques. It's just a shocking, complete denial of basic human biology. Okay, for our final case file, we're moving from the physical to the psychological. We're about to investigate a system that promised to cure not just the body, but the mind itself of all its problems. Our final suspect is the science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard. He cooked up a new science called dianetics, and he claimed, with a straight face, that it was a milestone for humanity on par with the discovery of fire or the invention of the wheel. So, no small claims here.
The whole system of dianetics is built on one core idea, the engram.
Hubbard's theory was that when you're unconscious or hurt, this primitive part of your brain, the reactive mind, takes over and just records everything. Every sound, every word, every sensation. He said these recordings, these engrams, are the secret cause of all our problems. Everything from phobias to arthritis. And where do the absolute worst, most damaging engrams come from? According to Hubbard, the womb. I mean, just look at this stuff. He argued that if a pregnant woman sneezes, the fetus can get knocked unconscious. That if parents get into a fight and someone yells, "Take it," the baby could grow up to be a kleptomaniac. And, get this, he claimed that 20 or 30 attempted abortions are not uncommon for a fetus to experience. And this wasn't sold as fiction, but as scientific fact. Okay, so we've looked at 3 totally different cases: a hollow earth, magic eye exercises, and traumatic memories from before you were born. What on earth could possibly connect all of these? Well, as it turns out, pretty much everything. Our suspects, even though they were in different fields, all followed the exact same criminal playbook. And here it is, the modus operandi, the crank's 5 signature moves. First, the Galileo gambit. They always see themselves as a misunderstood genius being persecuted, just like Galileo. Second, paranoia. Any criticism isn't just a disagreement, it's a personal attack from the establishment. Third, isolation. They work alone, avoiding peer review, which is the heart of real science. Fourth, jargon. They invent nonsense terms like efferent fluxions to sound smart. And finally, number 5, they claim there's a huge conspiracy of orthodox scientists trying to suppress their amazing discovery. Every single one of our suspects did this. So, what's the big takeaway from our investigation? The subject might change, but the method, it's always the same. Whether it's the creations ignoring their own measurements, Dr. Bates ignoring the lens that's literally in the eye, or Hubbard inventing prenatal soap operas, the fundamental crime is always rejecting observable reality. It's about choosing a story that feels good, or maybe sells a few books, over what the evidence is actually telling you. So now you've seen the evidence, you know the MO, you basically have your own pseudoscience detection kit now. The theories will always change, right? They'll get slicker, maybe harder to spot, but the playbook, the MO, that stays the same. The real question is, now that you know what to look for, will you be able to spot the next one?